He-Man. Whenever you hear the theme tune, you can't help but picture some of the characters that go along with it and start humming it in your head. If you're not a great singer like me, you'll hum very quietly. But I've been super excited to talk about this. I was really worried going into this whether my childhood would be just dashed into pieces like so many kind of reimaginings or rebirths or continuations with 80s cartoon series that we know and love. Do give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't, but for now, let's jump in. After a cataclysmic battle between He-Man and Skeletor, Eternia is fractured and the Guardians of Grayskull are scattered. And after decades of secrets tore them apart, it's up to Teela to reunite the broken band of heroes. So you'll notice that this series is called Masters of the Universe, not He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And that's a big clue and the write-up as to the just crazy mess that this starts off with. It's what we've been seeing, Skeletor and He-Man and the forces together fighting each other. This is the culmination of that, and this event after all those episodes and series leading to one moment that basically wrecks their life. And we find really the story kind of picks up years after that, after the mess of what happens initially at the beginning. And now we are on this journey with our characters, Teela, to kind of reform the band, go back on the journey. It's definitely an adventure journey, you know, like from A to B point, where our characters have got to pick up a quest item, join the band back together. We learn some things about what's happened in the past. We see characters that we know and love, and then we hope that we will somehow get back to what once was right. Along the way, you're going to be very interested in how Kevin Smith has cultivated this world that he loves. And talking about Kevin Smith, I'm going to read a short segment that he sent to the PR people. My time spent on working on Masters of the Universe Revelation was beyond bliss. For 27 years now, I've been a solo act who built his own universe in a series of foul-mouthed films and set in central New Jersey. So the idea of leading a team of writers to reboot one of the most famous intellectual properties of the 20th century, the notion of telling a tale of daring, do-filled with wholesome heroics, vile villains, and a big green talking tiger, let's just say I wasn't the most obvious choice. After spending the late 70s and early 80s buying me Star Wars action figures, ships, and playsets, my parents couldn't afford to finance another foray into an even more expensive world of plastic totems. So while I could watch the cartoon after school, I never got to make my own adventures with He-Man and the Masters of the Universe until now. The writing goes on just to explain how carefully him and his team attacked this project. It was a labor of love and carefully trying to intertwine everything that makes or made He-Man, all the characters, the nuances, the way they acted, the way they talk, and taking all of that and then putting it into a new universe. Well, not new, but in the story that we're familiar with, but also putting his own very character-driven kind of style on it. So the animation itself is fantastic. When you see the action pieces, when you see the moments that you really want to, see, like the sword, Skeletor, it all looks great. And then we have the added pleasure of just a phenomenal voice cast. Mark Hamill, Skeletor, Leanna Headley as Evil Lynn, Chris Wood as Prince Adam and He-Man, Sarah Michelle Gellar as Teela. You're going to find yourself being, I feel like, quite comfortable with how they've taken on the role. Skeletor's iconic, and the voice here is also iconic, and it kind of matches of kind of what you'd expect. There's a Joker-esque-ness to it, but he definitely puts his own kind of spin to it. I think everybody plays their parts really well and gives us what we're expecting to find from the He-Man universe, the Masters of the Universe universe. But this story is much darker than I expected it to be, and there's going to be moments with characters that you just are not going to expect to happen. And that's what I feel like makes this kind of different and is a fresh take, will draw new audiences. If it's your first time watching He-Man, you might have probably heard about it. You're watching it with your kids now, or you're an adult coming back to this, excited but tentatively scared about like what's going to happen. So they've taken all what made He-Man good. I feel like some of the campiness has been removed from it, but they've still added the humor there within it. The jokes don't quite work, but somehow it's made it relevant for now, still keeping what makes it great. And so we have the weird, strange jokes that don't quite work with certain characters but are there for the story. But you also have really touching emotional moments. This is only a five-piece series for now. There is a second part coming, and I believe there's a second part this year. Like, we're going to get the next batch, the next 5 episodes. So unfortunately, when you get to the end of the 5th episode, you're going to find yourself going, no, why did you do this to us? Because it does leave it on a pretty damn big cliffhanger. Apart from that, every single episode is basically moving the arc forward, but also drawing us back into this world, giving us time to understand what the characters are going through emotionally, through dialogue, through flashbacks. But it's all expertly edited. So there's the craftness, the skill in crafting this series is a balance between timelines, physically, like for us back then, and for them. And I think it's done so well. The score is great. Everything in this just feels like it's the attention to detail has been done with love. But then Kevin Smith has done his Kevin Smith thing and really built those characters, and then done things like you probably weren't expecting. If you've read any of the comics that he's been involved with, you'll understand how well he is able to craft imaginative worlds like this, and then kind of put his own spin on it and be daring as well, which I really appreciated. You definitely need to watch this if you're a fan of animation. If you want to see what Kevin Smith is up to, we know that Clerks, I think the new film is coming out again. But for now, I really hope he keeps doing things like this, because this does seem to have an imagination that's going to bring audiences together, bringing multiple generations together, enjoying something and being shocked in a great way. A couple of man tears, maybe. I think it's done really well. I'm going to give this an A. Thanks so much for watching this, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.